It has been a while. It's September. It's been a while since I've been in front of the camera. I'm not in the studio today. I'm on the road. I have this beautiful cabin, picturesque backdrop. I'm up the Sunshine Coast here in beautiful British Columbia in Seashell, for those of you who know the Sunshine Coast. But I have somebody a little bit further down the coast, somewhere in beautiful California. Without further ado, I'm just gonna not ramble here and bring on Rhonda. How are you today, Rhonda?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. It's like we were just chatting before we jumped on here. You had a bit of a morning.
Yes, I had a bit of a morning here in California. We have able, at your demand, scooters on the streets. So you can actually use your phone and grab a scooter and drive them around without a helmet, which, unfortunately for a traveler that was coming in from London, hit the side of the wall and broke all his front teeth. So that's what I was doing this morning.
But it happened. It happened right out front of the practice. Is that
And
right?
we actually hit our building.
Well, if you're gonna do it, at least
Might want to hit a dentist.
yeah, and
Because I said, is this going to be recorded
yeah,
visually? Because whenever I wear my loops, and for non-dentists out there, it is that magnifying glasses that we wear to make sure we see everything.
yeah.
It's stuck onto my head pretty tight, and it always gives me a little unibrow.
We're leaning a little closer there so we can get a good look at it. So let's get
Thought
this
I-
out of the way.
You
Yeah,
thought it was me that hit the wall.
you should have said it was you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh well, it's all fine.
It's all
So
good.
you're
Great. I back in. All is well.
you're a mother of two, yeah?
Yes, I'm a mother of two. I have a 5-month-old at home, and I have now a 20-month-old. So I have back-to-back kids.
Whoa! And how do you do that, managing two practices with one coming?
Honestly, delegation.
Yes, for
You have
sure.
to you surround yourself with the right people. I'm really big on human capital and making sure
Hmm.
that people around you are that you're not the bottleneck to your entire life. That you can delegate to the right people and then get things done without you having to be stretched so thin.
Yeah, like we can't do it ourselves, and you're a fool if you think that you can, right?
Absolutely.
You're just asking for it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think our team around us, my team, I love to death. My office managers, my dental assistants, my hygienists, and my nannies for the babies, because that's also another set of employment that you kind of have to deal with too.
Right.
It's funny, right now I have 40 employees. I'm like constantly just talking to people all day long.
So who's your favorite team then? I'm just kidding. We won't go there. Yeah, here you go. You're gonna start like this competition.
They say like you're never gonna love like just one of them,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
So let's get into it. I want to hear a little bit about your story. Where did you go to school? What got you into dentistry? Let's hear all that juicy detail.
Oh man, I'm so boring. But
No, come on.
well, I was born in Baghdad, Iraq. I came to the U.S. in the '90s, and then I'm born to immigrant parents. Have that cool like little backstory that so many of us do. But I think that also was never a woe is me moment. I always loved that being born to immigrants. You kind of like work hard at a young age. So I was really heavily involved in my father's businesses. We used to own pizza places actually in San Diego. And then my dad owned a chain of pizza places in San Diego. It was called Giant New York Pizza.
So
Um,
does pineapple belong on a pizza?
oh my God, if you think not, you can just hang up.
Okay. There. Okay. Good. Okay. That was the old like. Anyways, I stopped you. Continue.
Pizza is just so good. Yeah,
It
so
is. Yeah. Agreed.
anything goes on a pizza. That would be my death row meal, actually, would be a pizza.
That would be
Um,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
It's not the blueberry pancakes. It's the
no,
ham and pineapple. Yeah, that's good.
blueberry pancakes.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
it is
Okay, so
good.
but yeah, at a young age, I was kind of immersed in business, so I had a particular appeal to it when I was a kid too. I remember sewing my like a big pizza outfit that I got all the parts for, and I made pepperoni things, and I stood outside our pizza place to get business, and I was about 11 years old at the time.
So
So
I got to see a picture of this. Picture it didn't happen.
yeah, kind of no. We'll post it. I kind of got into like this idea of like marketing and kind of giving putting yourself out there as, hey, we are here. How do you get that to happen? Even at a young age, and something like that was fun. But so then when I went to San Diego State for I lived at home while I was in San Diego. I went to undergrad, San Diego State. It says a party school, but I was a nerd beyond nerd. I was a double major. I did molecular biology and business management, and then I ended up getting into UCLA Dental School. Was my top school. I met my husband out here at UCLA. He's a plastic surgeon, and so we are now finding. So I found myself staying in Los Angeles, but I knew I wanted to be a business owner. I did a residency at UCSD in San Diego. I actually went back for a year and did GPR, which is a general practice residency. You don't need to do a residency in California to practice. However, I thought it was really important if I got some background in surgery, and UCSD VA system at the time was top in teaching oral surgery and endodontics. So that's what I'm really comfortable with. I'm comfortable with doing my own oral surgery and root canals. I love them. They're actually one of my favorite procedures to do.
So you have a microscope?
Oh yeah, I have a 3D sealer microscope, which is amazing. So I have goggles. And then my assistant's wearing 3D goggles. I think we posted that on our Instagram page.
So you are a nerd for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, I like it.
My practice is called True Glow Modern Dental because modern technology is key here. Everyone notices that when they come in, they're like, oh, this is different, because we have assistants that are robots, which is the Temi robot that comes around and will introduce itself at the kiosk and give you post-op instruction. It's really cool. It follows you around the office. So it's nice. We have that. We have iTero scanners, which is 5D scanners. We have 3D printers. My 3D printers are though off-site because all our practices print from one location, and then we have our ceramist that works at that location.
What are you printing? What are you printing right now?
Aside from like figurines,
Baby Yodas. We give them to all the patients. It's lovely.
Exactly.
Drill guides, and are you doing night guards? What are you printing right now?
So everything is done on that. It's from anything. We still go through Invisalign for our clear aligners, so they just feel like they just don't. Everybody, I think they just do it the best. With they're expensive, but they still the results that you get with Invisalign, I think, are second to none with them. But we do all of our veneer cases with them, our implant cases, our guides with them, our night guards with them, our retainers with 3D scanners. So all of that 3D printers, all of that is heavily used in our practice. And we do a combination with our veneer case where we're 3D printing maybe just the base material, and then we'll have our ceramists hand paint the porcelain over them and bake them that way. But so it gives a little bit more of at the margins where it's more of a robotic touch, because the robot's the computer is very important at giving the margins to be so seamless. So there's a lot of people that say, no, I still think my ceramist is the best with the wax and blah, 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 blah. There's just so much human error involved in that. And I would say if you actually do know how to use a 3D printer and 5D scanner, the results you get with those are incredible.
And that's key too. Knowing how to use the equipment is such a key thing, and the time as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been able to. So right now I have a Hollywood practice was my flagship. I mentioned that I had owned another practice a while back. This was in partnership form, but it was a HMO style practice. I had gone to sell that and use my my sale price, what I earned from that, and purchased Hollywood, a dental office. And then that was in 2018. In 2020, in the middle of COVID, I bought Beverly Hills. And then now we are currently in the build out of Calabasas, which opens in December. And then I'm also in an acquisition that's happening currently as well.
Wow. So, that's fast. And then, all through COVID time, I'm sure too.
Oh my God, it was
all
hard.
This action. Yeah. How did you manage to to just go for it through that must have been a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, it was a scary time, but I knew that I had a feeling that this was like kind of a moment in time kind of thing. I was trying to keep mindful of that, knowing that this was a tough time that everybody was kind of facing. And it was probably going to, I had faith that it was going to blow over eventually. So because what ended up happening is a lot of people were not paying their rent, right? And so Beverly Hills, which had a moratorium over opening new dental offices or new medical spaces, lifted that because the person that they were able to reliably rent to were actually people that could pay their rent, were like dentists and medical professionals, because we were considered uh, what were they using? I forgot the word that they were saying. Like they were saying that we were needed, right?
Essential service.
Essential services. I feel like
Yeah.
everybody was essential. I
Yes.
feel like the market determines who is essential or not. But
Sure. Yeah.
sure, I guess I was considered essential and was able to work during that time. We did a lot more just the surgical stuff and kick back a lot of the cosmetic things, but. Anyhow, so they usually a price per square footage in Beverly Hills was running between like to even $12 a square foot. It went all the way down to $3 a square foot. So as soon as I found that, I bought that right away, and I knew that I was going to sit on that and just wait. I waited out a little bit, and lo and behold, that turned out to be a good business move.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
Great.
that. Yeah. Wow. That's wild. Like, just thinking back of that time, like what a mind blow. Like that was.
I know, now I believe everything. When people are like, "Can you believe that happened?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, actually." And then
It's
do you think
weird.
like, absolutely, there are aliens. Absolutely.
Yeah. There's aliens now. Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
What
People are like,
next?
"Oh, do you think that could happen?" I'm like, yep.
Yeah. No, it did. Yeah. It's probably happened like multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So what are you passionate about? Like what's your I know like endodontics. What's your favorite case?
Oh, like this. So this morning that was a spit. Okay, so I had done also wisdom teeth extractions. I right in the morning. That was my emergency case I got yesterday. So that's one. Or her face was really blown up. So I had her put on some medication yesterday, and then saw her early morning today. Did that, pulled it out really quick. I'm super good at oral surgery. That's what most of my training was spent in that 1 year of residency. But actually was so important because I only focus heavily on that oral surgery aspect through an amazing surgeon who taught me on our amazing military how to Navy, and it was Army. It was a mix of our service, our service people that we actually got to help them out a lot, but provide amazing dentistry. But I was taught that through an oral surgeon with his amazing hands. Taught me how to anesthetize really well, how to calm the patient down, and also how to clear infection pretty good. So I love that. And then, of course, I also like the MacGyverette aspect of dentistry. Everyone always makes the joke that, oh, you are the MacGyverette of dentistry, because I was like, give me a little tiny thing, I'm going to make you a tooth out of it, right? So this person came out with like half his tooth was broken and one of his teeth was in his hand. I put it back in, grew up this one. I splinted it. I mean, I don't know if you have photos, I did take photos of the before and after, so I can actually send it to you. You can show it to your
If
listeners.
you don't mind, yeah, I'll have that magically with.
You can kind of get an idea of what we saw this morning and how quickly we were able to triage the situation and get him back to actually now enjoying Universal Studios, where he's at right now. So
There you go. Like nothing happened.
Yeah, he's fine. He's probably a little drugged up, but okay.
Yeah,
Everybody, it's LA. Everyone's drugged up.
Yeah, right. No offense, LA. Sorry.
Looks like everybody else on the street.
Yeah.
But, no,
It is Friday, right? Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I love dentistry a lot. That's why I'm kind of moving out of the chair a little bit, which makes me a little sad.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how many how much I've been just so involved in the practice growing and the business aspect, which I also is my big passion as well.
Mm-hmm.
Managing so many people, you kind of get driven out of the chair a little bit, and you're no longer a wet-handed dentist. But as much as I can find myself in the chair, I do find myself there, and usually at the growth phase of a new practice. So Beverly Hills was a startup. There's also acquisitions that are a lot easier on your morale and your pocketbook and all that, because usually acquisitions, the practice is running. And
Hmm.
so there is already money that is coming in, and you're not fronting so much of the costs ahead of yourself. Those ones are a lot easier than a startup. Startups are very difficult because you have nobody in the chair,
Right.
and you are literally answering a phone, making the appointment, and saying the email, and you're the hygienist, and you're blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
you're just like kind of just trying to survive for like a couple of weeks, but then you start to incorporate your systems, and then you start to get into more steady waters.
Yeah,
So,
there was this video of this entrepreneur, and he's wearing like this big, tall stack of hats, and on the
oh,
hats it said like boss and marketing person, and
oh
it
yeah,
was like this. He was like walking around this little office and passing these
yeah,
hats off, right? I
yeah,
think like
exactly.
you said it earlier, and this is a good segue to my next question. Is like, what are three key things to help you grow a practice and do what you're doing? Like what would you say are those top three things?
Yeah, I think for it's like, have you ever taken I took a real estate exam when I was 18. I got my real estate license. I don't know, I felt like everybody was getting it. But I remember like one of the first questions is what determines what a successful real estate investment is, and it says location, location, location was the answer.
Yeah.
That with your question there, the most important thing would be delegation. So delegation is super important to growth and maintenance of that growth. But making sure that you have the right people to delegate tasks to, and give yourself a little humble yourself in the fact that you should know that you are not the only one that knows how to do that filling the best, or manage that case the best, or manage a front office the best. You have to have a clear vision in mind, can create that in terms of an applicable systems that you can actually access. You
Yeah.
have to access your systems. So when somebody says, well, I feel like I'll give it in terms of dentistry. I feel like I do an amazing MOD filling, right? So they're like, I feel like I do this filling amazing. Nobody else can do it like this. Okay, then how? Why do you think you do it the best? Is it because you numb the best? Well, how do you numb?
Hmm.
Okay, how do you isolate? How do you right? If you write that out from start to finish, and you have that all written down, then that's essentially a systems. That's what systems are, right?
Hmm.
So and you're going to do that. That's on a micro level. You're going to not only do it at micro, but you're going to kick it back all the way to the macro level. And those systems need to be something that you are. Um, Sorry, I can't. I'm gonna. Sorry, guys.
Hey, we're
Wait,
live
so
right now, so this is these things happen.
yes, that would be my associate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but but yeah, I mean, I love him. But I think she was showing me that emergency case, but he's good. Okay, so
Systems.
anyway,
I couldn't agree more. Yes.
systems are super super important. And I think that it's like, a lot of people think systems is like an employee handbook or like a workbook. That's not what
Hmm.
systems are, because that's like an employee handbook or whatever, a workbook. They're usually in a binder that's this big and nobody reads it, and it's
Right.
somewhere else. That's not for everybody. So everybody needs their own systems. So front office, and break that up. Front
Yep.
office, your receptionist needs their systems. Your managers need their systems, your assistants need their systems, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to manage. So you need to break up your practice into multiple groups, from hygienists to the providers, and the providers need to include hygienists and doctors, then to the doctors, and then the assistants, and then blah blah blah. And then you break them up, divide them, and then create an approach for their success, and utilize. What I've utilized is a lot of the technologies, the modern technologies, to
Right.
able to establish that. Like, there's a really good system called Trainual, where you can. And none of these people endorse me. I use them. I pay for them, and hopefully they give me a free one so that they
There
can.
you go. Yeah. We'll make sure they see this.
But yeah, like, I mean, I'm not endorsed by Tarot or Invisalign or whatever. It's just some things I believe in, and I don't need to be endorsed by them. So
Hmm.
like, I there anyways, Training is a great system for maybe managing all your employees under one umbrella, and you can actually be able to attach videos of how you do a class 3, how you set up
Oh,
for a
that's
filling.
cool. That's awesome.
It's on an app, and so
Hmm.
they're like, okay, so this person is out today, they're out on leave or whatever. I don't know how to do this. This person only knows how to do that. Well, you go onto your app and you can go down to what their work requirements are. What are you trying to figure out? How to charge out a patient, how to send out a claim or an appeal. It's all written there, and also with video to be able to kind of walk you through how to do that. So those are super important. And I've also been able to, through my systems, is also I built in a lot of AI that's not actually applicable to the general public, but I've hired people on the side to build plugins into my my software, my practice management software.
That's awesome. Let's expand on this, because this is like I'm very interested in this topic right now, because I think there's so many applications for AI right now, and it's going to improve our lives dramatically, I think. So let's talk about this. Like, so what have you attached AI to?
So are my x-rays, right? So we can actually now be able to have AI give us an opinion as to how much bone loss is there, where the cavities are, how open margins are. And this is really good, because how AI should be used is, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to take over humans.
No, it's not at all. No, I disagree with that completely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not at all. It's going to make you more efficient.
Yes.
And it's going to streamline your efficiency, because when you are thinking, okay, how do I write this letter? And you're sitting there for 30 minutes.
Right.
And that's a waste of, and we are already understand this, a waste of not only time, but not only money, your happiness,
yes,
your time with maybe your family, your time with maybe getting out of the office on time.
Yes.
So what people are going to stick, the people are that are hardworking, and yeah, that's great, but you need to work smarter, not harder. And that's right. Really cliche. That's a very cliche line, but very, very true when it comes to AI, because utilizing some things to kind of jog your, like, hey, I want to create an outline as to how I would talk to my office management staff about being more productive, and you give AI those prompts, and you're kind of like talking to a friend, you know, but getting a more straightforward answer, right? And like, but it's your brain that's taking that and saying, this I won't say, but this I'd say, that's actually pretty good. I'm going to expand on that. And then and then your 4-hour task has become a productive 1-hour task.
100%. It's awesome. So, I personally use it a lot, and you're right. It really has to do with like really good prompting. The more information that you give it, and that's my argument against it taking over. It's an enhancement.
Yes.
Right. It's essentially we all get a personal assistant now. It's awesome. Yeah.
And like right now, like, you know, before we would have been at the library and hunting through all these books to get an answer. Now we just Google it. It's the same thing. Like you save more time. And then look how much advancement we get when human beings have more time to do other things.
Yeah.
It's an inclination to make most of that time.
100%. Our time here is finite, so we're best to use it to max it out.
Degree. And then I think like, when it comes to like dentistry, a lot of times you hear this, and I hear this from colleagues too. They're super unhappy. They feel overworked, and they feel but it's because they're trying to be at 100 places at once and be 110% of 100%, 110% a dentist, 110% a mom, 110% a wife or a husband or whatever, and they spread too thin. The problem is you need to allow yourself to, when you're wearing these multiple hats, just wear that hat while you're doing it. So when you're a mom, just be a mom. When you're a dentist, just be a dentist. Don't be answering phones and doing all this stuff. But then they're like, I feel like I have to because I'm running out of time. Well, then you're not working efficiently and effectively.
Right. 100%. You know? And then we go back to systems too, like having systems at home even. I'm sure you're like, there's a regimen at home even too, right?
Yeah. It's super important to be regimented. I think like they found that people that are in blue zones, like the centurions that live the longest, have such structured lives.
Right.
Lives, and having structure to your life is makes you more able to be murdered, I heard. But
like, is that right? Yeah. Well, you're very predictable. You're gonna get coffee at this time.
Yeah, I'm so predictable.
Oh, so no. Predictable. Don't say that. Don't say that out loud. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Okay, but
good luck. I know karate too. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you don't want to mess with me. I told you I was
Yeah.
born in back.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but like having that structure is super, super important.
Hmm.
It's incredibly important, and it's incredibly important for ultimately not only the success of your practices, the happiness of those around you,
Hmm.
but your own happiness. Your own happiness. So systems, you have to think of it more of a tool of 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 really hacking your life,
Yes.
right? Like you need to life hack yourself, and you use a lot of this technology. Be ahead of it too. Some people are like, oh, it's not. It's I don't understand it. Well, take the moment and understand it.
Dive
Take
into it.
take the
Yeah.
moment and just dive into it. Even if you don't have time, everyone's mostly in their cars or whatever. Audiobooks are really important too. Just kind of throw something on, and
Hmm.
podcasts are out there too. I'm sure you have some podcasts out there for AI and use
Oh
into
yeah.
marketing and technology.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I'm meeting later on with my SEO, trying to also get some conversational AI on my page as well, because I think that that's going to be helpful to kind of triage patients that may have some questions that AI could answer for them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, it's going to turn into well, it always has been this. It's the folks that dive in and get in front of these things that end up benefiting the most.
Yeah,
The early adopters, right? It's I think like in involving AI and putting into your lifestyle. It's going to become just a your car is going to have it. Like
yeah. I mean,
it's going to be integrated into a lot of different aspects of our lives, and it's
you know what I always think of? I think of my parents when they first got the iPhone, and I remember my mom had a post-it taped to the back of her iPhone of everyone's phone number, right?
yeah, yeah,
And like instead of it putting it in her phone, you don't want to do that, right? Because like
yeah,
not only for the sake of not understanding the technology, is your kids are going to know it, right?
yeah,
And you don't want to be that parent that's like, wow, back in the day,
yeah.
like
Back
we
in
just
my day,
yeah,
yeah,
no, you kind of want to be ahead of it,
we
also
had
for
like the
their
pager. Remember the pager? Did you go through that
sure, and
phase?
like for their safety too, like knowing what's out there for your kids' safety and the technology that's available to them and the
Hmm.
information that's available to them, you really want to have a good handle on that too. So being super integrated in technology is part of humanity at the point at this point of our lives. It's a turn of a century. This is a $35 billion industry in the matter of like less than a year.
Yeah,
The like AI is where it's going. So
yeah.
so get on the plane and go like and
Well,
understand it.
it's wild. Like if you think of human history and how long we've been on this planet, the Wright brothers were testing
Mhm.
out, the plane,
Yeah,
and then 60
yeah,
years later we're landing on the moon. Like this,
exactly.
the paradigm switch on things, the availability of information at our fingertips is unbelievable. You can know
Hmm.
anything like at a touch of a couple buttons and you've got answers,
Yeah,
right?
it's amazing. It's a great time to be alive, and also, but it has its downsides. There's a lot of information out there. I mean, MGM just got like hacked, and like
Yeah,
they're held at ransom, like in Vegas. I mean, these are also the informational age, where a lot of the information out there it can be easily accessed to view. So,
yeah,
knowing what information is okay to be out there and what not to, just understanding, even the ability of just know technology could be used for good and evil, and
yeah,
maybe in your line of work you may want to start using it for good. Obviously use it for good, but you know what I'm noticing is that AI, especially that tool that I was telling you about for the radiographs,
mm,
so sending those sending it's a script that attaches to the appeal board to the insurance companies that
hmm.
tells them that this was robotic technology that was able to detect these cavities and open margins. Now, dental insurance has 100% accepted all our appeals.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's a big thing. And that's a big thing that needs to be said and put out there. And this is going to be really great for dentists, because a lot of the times you had these non-dental people, or even sometimes they were dentists, looking at these pixelated x-rays and saying, no, I don't see the decay there, when we all know that sometimes x-rays are only showing you about 20% of really what's happening, and
Sure.
clinical judgment is also super important. But having that second opinion from an AI generated technology technology with your know-how and your narrative, your clinical narrative, actually is really helpful for getting maybe some of these insurance appeals to process.
Well, even, chair side, if it's prompting you to, look at this area, if it's giving you sort of the eyeballs on highlighting a potential area
Yeah.
of to
Yeah,
look
and
at.
they're not like, what? Like, and it's crazy because you can actually tell the patient, are you familiar with AI? And
Yeah.
immediately they're like, everyone is like, yes, like, especially our patients are mostly in the younger generation. They're like,
Mm.
absolutely. And then you send this thing on, they're like, no way. And they're like on their edge, like, what's that?
Hmm.
They're even pointing to things that I didn't point out. They're like, well, what's this one? What's that one? And then,
Yeah.
and it's funny, they start diagnosing themselves.
Yeah.
And that's half the battle of getting them to accept treatment is actually because when it's in your mouth, it's not hurting you, right?
Right.
When it hurts you, you already know this to be true. It needs a root canal,
Yeah.
and you're not trying to have a practice of people just coming to you for root canals because root canals are like end of life support, right? So like
Yeah.
people should be coming in if something hurts, you should be taking care of it before it actually does,
Prevention.
and then
Yeah.
they're now able to see what you see, and there's an option to show the anatomy of a tooth and how far that cavity has gone. Super cool.
That is super cool. What tools are you using for patient communication?
Okay, so we text them of their appointments before and after all the procedures. They're able to call. We have a 24-hour concierge service line, so they can actually call. So also our practice is called True Glow Modern Dental, and it has multiple locations and it has its own membership. So we actually just PPO insurance is something that we will bill to your we will bill PPO insurances, but you do not need to have insurance to be at our office because we have our in-house that's very competitive to insurances where we have a monthly fixed fee. One of them is basic to premier. But we do also give 2 complimentary cleanings, exams, and x-rays with both the packages. We have essentially what insurance would have paid us. We have brought down our prices so much. I was able to do that because I can fix my lab fees a little bit more because I have my own, laboratory. It's able for me to cut out a little bit of that expense, so I can bring the prices a lot, and so patients can get amazing, affordable care, most modern technology for at an affordable rate where they're paying monthly, and then we don't have any deductibles, no maximums or anything like that. Yeah. So we have a lot of active patients. This is part of my business growth model, and my goal is actually convert most of our patients to become members of either of these practices. That's why I want to open up so many, so they can go to any. They can find themselves in Southern California and be able to go and get a dental work or whatever they're there, or maybe in a couple of years in Northern California. But I'm going to be sticking to maybe the California side. And I don't have any partners right now, so it's just me. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of getting still just those systems in play and being able to replicate what's been successful over and over again. And of course, I kind of fall forward. Like I always call it falling forward because I still feel like I'm still learning as I'm going. I don't know 110% what I'm doing all times. Believe me, I do not. Yeah. But
nobody does. We're all figuring this stuff out as we go, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, like dentistry. I feel like I love dentistry because I feel like I'm in a spa when I'm performing it because I'm on autopilot, right? Like I already know what's going. I don't have to. But when it comes to the business aspect, you really have to become really inventive and intuitive, and also fearless at times where you're so scared because you have so many people relying on you. I not only have my employees, I have their families to feed. Sure. And then but it also you humble yourself in the fact that you literally have that your actions are going to affect hundreds of people. Like their family and their husbands and their spouses and their children and whatever. So this is I humble myself in that and I know that whenever I'm successful, I try to be successful not only for myself and my kids. I also think about my team and my goal is my passion is also to see them succeed as well.
Yeah, I love that. And then everybody gets behind that. you know.
Mhm.
And that's important. You need those folks to rally behind you and support you and love you. And I'm sure your practices are all, it's like a very family feeling environment.
Super culture.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in tune with the culture of the practice, and I also try to if there isn't culture in your dental office,
Mm.
that's something that you really need to look at more than anything else, because people.
I think a practice culture is one of the most important aspects of the dental business.
Absolutely, because patients feel it.
Yes.
So when you sit in the chair and you are pissed at your assistant, or your assistant is not happy, they know it. They
Oh,
really
for
do.
sure. Yeah.
And a lot of times, a lot of our reviews online, you notice that they say it's such a happy office. It's so
Mm.
fun. Like, I had a patient this morning that was taking out her wisdom teeth. Right? She was like, "I've been to so many dental offices," and she's like holding her face like this. She's like,
Oh no.
she just went through the worst, and she's
Yeah.
like, "I had so much fun."
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But like, it's nice because what I'm having is the staff like came in and was like super energetic. They were happy to be there. They were pumped, and you can see it. And they were always attentive to her, giving her drinks, hot towels, the
Hmm.
blanket, the headphones, the TV, making sure that she knew her pre-op and post-op, or that she was pre-op correctly, that her post-op instruction was given to her, not only given to her but her spouse, not only given to her spouse but emailed to her, texted to her. She feels so taken care of, and that at any time she goes back home and she has any questions, she can reach us at 24 hours of the day, any one of us. Just making sure that she sends that to the concierge. She calls the office, concierge dials us in, and that's it. And she's able to get that. So patients feel well taken care of. They can feel, and also the office doesn't smell like a dental office.
Right.
This is like Fred Joyle's point in the marketing book that he wrote. And he was actually one of my old. He wrote a great book for dental marketing, but he was actually an old a neighbor of mine. When I was moving in, he gave me this book. He's like, "Oh, you're a dentist, you read this." But he was saying, make your dental office not smell like a dental office. It should smell like Formicresol or like IRM. That stuff smells like poison, right?
Yes.
But I wouldn't go as far as, I forget that there was an old marketing technique where they used to bake cookies or in the front.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, that's kind of, I don't know.
That's cheating. You know.
Yeah, like I would say like perhaps maybe gardenia or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like have like some good essential oils kind of going out a little bit, but kind of, and then creating some music. You don't need some
Mhm.
like, I know our office, everybody's different, but our office, we have like electric chill that's playing, like, so
Love
it's like kind of like more hippie, and like they
Yeah.
love it. Like they kind of feel a vibe, and people aren't like falling asleep to like either like completely silent, or
Yeah.
like it's
Or
like
the that the smooth jazz that every practice had with the fish tank up. You know.
5, like
Yeah.
like, you don't need that. Like,
No.
it's like you kind of like want to live in your own office, like,
Mhm.
and see like what's the vibe you're trying to achieve here, and what would you want when you come into the office, right?
Totally.
Like I would want ease of making an appointment, so also make your appointment availability easy,
Like
so
frictionless, right? Frictionless. Yeah.
shouldn't be like, oh, okay, we're gonna call you when blah 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 it comes back. Like, no, they're like, everybody should know exactly what it is. No. Also, what we built in our thing is an insurance checker that's AI.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So like now patients don't have to sit and wait for so long to get their insurance broken down.
And basically, what is it? It shows them that everything, like all the procedures that they can do. Yeah.
Like your crown is covered at 50%. This
Gotcha.
is your out of pocket, blah blah blah.
Yep. Yep.
And so that's great. Like, so you're not like, okay, well, I'm going to call the insurance, and it's going to take like 48 hours, 72 hours to get your insurance information. And we'll see that, like, they want to come in today. You should also have appointment availability to see people same day if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's also super important too. Same day treatment is almost 100% going to be accepted treatment.
Yeah.
Because those people usually are in pain. Okay.
Yeah.
They're going to accept whatever the hell you're going to say. Okay.
Just
so
fix me. Yeah.
Yeah. So be able to accommodate for that. And then if you're booked out for 4 weeks, well, I think it's about time to get an associate and take yourself out of the time where you're like, oh, but I can't have anybody come to my practice. I'll tell you what, you ain't that special.
I'll clip that. I'm going to clip that right there.
You're nuts. Okay, like so, like there is actually amazing dentists out there that come
Hmm.
out and they just haven't been given the chance and giving them that opportunity. I wish I turned my camera because that one of the associates was here, but she's super good and but she's constantly like learning. She had like her loops on still and she was holding like the x-ray of her seat and she just wants to show me that the margin is perfect. But that's the kind of camaraderie also that you should have among your staff and your
Hmm.
associates, because your associates can start learning from you and start thinking, oh, I think Dr. Kalasho might not like this margin, right? So
Hmm.
she came in here just like she's pointing at like a margin. I can tell her. I can tell she's trying to see something, but she's trying to be just like me, right? Like
Yeah.
making sure that she's super anal about that.
Yeah.
But I allowed her to learn kind of to have that autonomy to do that and to mimic what I do and be able to flow and do what she wants to do by
Hmm.
herself. And so
And it's vice versa too. Like if you're, you're teaching as well. So you're also learning in that environment too. You're pushing yourself forward. You're thinking more about what you're doing.
yeah, absolutely. And it's and because they always ask why. Well, why did you do that? And I'm like, actually, and then like it takes a moment and you're like,
Yeah,
this is why I do that. And then like
100%. Yeah.
that's where your systems and your playbook become something that can be accessible to multiple people.
Hmm.
And it's not like you have protection over, like we do have some things that we do here that's like protected IP. So we do have some NDAs that are like that, so they do have to sign. But like how to do a correct class 2 or class 3 is not an IP. Like it's not like protected IP. Like this is like something that you should be sharing to multiple people so that you can go on vacation with your family and take some time off and know that your associates are able to handle the same types of difficult cases that you're
Yeah.
able to, and at the level of detail that you are able to do as well, so that
Yeah.
you can have that freedom to get out of the chair a little bit, because this is a very difficult field, not only physically but emotionally, and
Sure.
being able to pull yourself away at that. And it's like and especially in our field, dentistry is like I forgot one of my colleagues said this. Greg Spodak is a good friend. He also has a podcast, Bulletproof Dental. He's great too. But he was saying that like dentistry is like a firing squad that's circular, right? And so like they're like, oh, did you go to a dentist? Like, when did you last time you went to a dentist? And they see like an open margin on a freaking class, like a class 2 or whatever, and then they're like, that dentist is shit. This is a crazy. You shouldn't go there. And they're like, how do you know that that patient's just not like hard to work on? That you couldn't get the isolation? And maybe that's the best you could do. I think dentistry needs to have also more of a collegial environment
Yes,
that we,
absolutely.
you
Yes.
know, and that's when like sometimes when I hear doctors say, "Well, nobody can do it like me." Who said that? Like no, that's part of that firing squad that's circular,
Mm.
because are you saying that I can't do what you can do, or you can't do what I can do? That's not true. You can. It's maybe and maybe the business aspect is different. That's different. But when we went to school, we all learned the same.
Mm.
So yeah, some people's hands are a little bit more soft and flowy and whatever, but we know what a good class 2 is, a good margin is, a good implant placement is, what a good root canal is. It's just being able to get everybody to that point, and humbling yourself in this very volatile environment of dentistry. But we need some more collegial uh, uh, relationships among dentists now. And I never talk shit about any dentist that come in, even if I see that filling and I'm like, that's terrible. But I would never say that to a patient. I'm like,
Dentistry is such a small community too. Like, you know what I mean? And if we think of dentistry as like a body of knowledge, like we all live great lifestyles because of dentistry. Like being in this industry, I think it's maybe, I'm not the guy that's giving more back to the knowledge base, but I think let's teach the next wave of dentists coming up. Let's make their lives easier. Let's progress the body of knowledge in dentistry further. And if you're holding on to those nuggets, if you're good at something, I think it's our duty to like teach our kids, to
yeah.
teach our colleagues, to not hold all those things in.
And it's perpetuating actually the unhappiness within our field, and that's what makes me the most uncomfortable with that, because I had like a colleague who was like, oh my god, this guy is going after me for the board because he said my margin was open, and then another dentist wrote a letter that said how could she cement this and blah blah blah. And then I'm like, this is why there is also high suicide rate or
Yes.
high anxiety. It's because we're forced to work within the millimeter, the micromillimeter of perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we all have to aim at perfection. Every single one of us do. But we should not be we should not be targeting each other if one person is not able to perform at that exact level, because this is there could be, like, you could maybe send that patient back and say maybe they can redo that crown for you or whatever it is, whatever it may be, but not to immediately go towards targeting that they're a crappy dentist and talking about them in the community, because that's going to hurt them a lot emotionally. And that's kind of where the sociability aspect of a lot of people in dentistry is, people are not, they're like introverts, not very social, they're kind of like nerdy and stuff, so like they don't know how to be social, and maybe like they should actually start caring more about their colleagues and their happiness and their reputation and stuff like that. So it's that's why I really do love teaching the group of dentists, and I love my associates. They're all amazing. We all hold each other to the highest regard of perfection, but we feel not targeted by the other, like, and we feel comfortable to say, if you think this margin is maybe a little bit off, like, how can I fix that, or whatever it is. And then we kind of come in and help each other. And this is also an environment patients appreciate as well. They get multiple dentists sometimes hovering over their mouth, looking at one tooth, and like, no, I would do a filling here. No, I would do a filling here. And then, like, but that's good, because you got like people that genuinely care about you, and they have differing opinions. And then at the end of the day, you just got a bunch of people giving an opinion about what you should, and ultimately what happens out of that, great care.
Yeah, and I think, like, you nailed it. I think a lot of good comes out of healthy discourse. Like, let's just have conversations and just don't internalize everything. Like, share. Let's all share a little bit better. Rhonda, this has been awesome. I think, we could probably talk for another 4 hours, but I think we could just keep going. I want to be like cognitive of your time.
So much for having me.
Yeah. Amazing. Like, if you could give me just give me some closing thoughts. Like, where are we going? Where's the industry going? Where do you see things in 5 years from now?
And for the industry itself, or dentistry?
Just for dentistry. Yeah.
Dentistry, whoever is in it or is thinking about getting into it, dentistry is incredible. It's an incredible field to get into. You have so much autonomy over your own happiness, over your own success, over how you want to practice and all that. But the good thing that you want to know about dentistry is that there is so much private equity also getting involved in it, because it's such a lucrative field. But you want to understand that you have so much freedom within the field, and it's a rewarding field that you can maintain your family dynamics, you can maintain your health and your livelihood and all that stuff, but be able to manage being a doctor and caring for people. And it's a wonderful field.
Awesome. This has been very nerdy and informative. I hope we do this again. This is a great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I swear we can probably have another podcast of just AI.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's form our own podcast, the AI dentistry podcast.
I'm like finding out. I feel like I'm doing it too much though.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
All right. Well, have a great weekend. It was nice chatting.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye.
Take care.